Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the go-to platform where faith-driven entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and experts share their stories, wisdom, and expertise to inspire and impact others. This isn't just another interview series. This is a strategic platform designed to amplify the voices of high-level entrepreneurs, which especially includes kingdom entrepreneurs who are making a real difference in their industries. My goal is simple: to serve you, the expert, by giving you a stage to share your message, expand your reach, and create lasting value for others. Through authentic, in-depth conversations, we uncover the real journeys, challenges, and victories behind today's leading experts. Each interview isn't just content. It's a powerful asset that helps you to establish authority, increase visibility, and connect with the right people. So with that, let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another interview here. And I have special guest Sparklyn, and she is a transformational entrepreneur, author, speaker, and founder of Covenant Link Solutions LLC, and the God as CEO movement. After overcoming major business setbacks, including losing over $60,000 during a challenging season, she rebuilt her life and business through faith, leadership, and strategic alignment with biblical principles. Today, she helps entrepreneurs, executives, and organizations develop stronger leadership, clearer vision, and purpose-driven success. Through coaching, leadership development programs, and powerful storytelling, Sparklyn inspires others to break cycles, build with intention, and lead both business and life with God at the center. And today's topic is actually a really powerful topic. Our topic is making God the CEO of your business and life. And so we're going to be having a wonderful, amazing discussion around that topic. Welcome, Sparklyn. I am so excited to have you on my show today. And so I'm just going to hand the mic right over to you. Start by unpacking your story, all the things, and we will go rocking and rolling through our conversation.
Okay. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I'll just start with the beginning and how I got to God as CEO. So my husband and I started a business back in 2021 in the height of COVID. And this business was a business where we wanted to eventually develop an app so that we can have our customers access the app and our drivers be assigned, and we'll be able to service our customers with this app. And I'm kind of fast forwarding, but this is kind of where God as CEO was birthed from, because during that time, I connected with someone who I trusted, and they made a recommendation for someone to build this app for us. The app was supposed to be finished at the end of 2021. And to date, we do not have the app. So it never got finished. But during that time, there were now when I go back and I think about us building the business, getting it started, it was, becoming pretty successful and becoming known in our area for the services that we offered. And we wanted to just expand. And one of the things that we did was we didn't use discernment. And I didn't use discernment because I kind of ran that part of the business. My husband was most of the muscle and getting everything else moving. And I didn't use discernment, and it cost us tremendously. It cost us dearly. And we ended up in court. We won the court case. However, the people, they dissolved their business. It kind of really just disappeared. And so we never got our money back. And so I share that first to say, when that happened, it caused our business to decline completely and really get into a state where it was financially dependent on us and our own personal income. There was a lot of focus that I had put in fighting that battle and trying to get our funds back. There were a lot of conversations with the people directly. And then we went to an attorney, and then it began to proceed. But with all of that, once everything came to the end and we still didn't have our money, we still didn't have our product, our business had completely declined. I finally sat down and went to God and said, what happened here? You gave me this business idea. You told me that this is what we should do and this is how we should do it. So what happened? And God said, well, you moved me out of the way.
Oh.
You begin to operate on your own. And I said, okay, well, how do I course correct this? And it was making God the CEO, right? And so if I start from there, just to kind of let you know where I got God as CEO from, and then kind of go through some of the pain points. Making God CEO means that I would turn over the whole business, and not just this business, because we have a few other businesses, but every business over to God, and he will now be the owner of the business and I work for him, which means that he makes all of the decisions and I execute them. And I steward the business to where, everything that comes in, it's all based on what God said to do and all aligned with his purpose and his plan for the businesses. And so with that, I've been able to take that experience of losing the $60,000 and make it into something that can not only help me, but can also help others. And I developed a coaching program from that to walk people through the process of making God the CEO of their business. So that's kind of like the gist of God as CEO. We have been in business. We relaunched our business. It was a roadside assistance company, the original business. And we relaunched that business this year. And so we're building momentum and getting it back in order, but we're using the system that God helped us build and realign with God so that we can be successful this time and use discernment. I missed a lot of warning signs, lots of warning signs that had I just stopped and held and sat back and looked at what was really going on, we would have never gotten into the situation. However, if we had not gotten into that situation, then we had God as CEO wouldn't have been birthed, not in this way. So I take it as a lesson learned and just progress forward with the framework of God as CEO over every business that we execute. So that's kind of the gist of how we got started with God as CEO.
Wow, that is quite a story. I don't know if I would have recovered from the impact of losing $60,000 and not getting that back. What I mean by I don't know if I would recover. I mean that not financially. I mean that mentally.
Yes.
I don't know if I would have recovered. Like I would have kind of just been really devastated with that. And it's been really hard for me to come back up. So talk a little bit about, maybe some of that struggle that you were going through in that moment when you lost $60,000. What was the narrative that was playing in your head?
Right. Well, it was completely devastating. And I had to go, and it was traumatizing. So I had to go through a healing process to even get to a point where I could start, the God as CEO, because it made me stagnant for a couple of years. And my thought process was, first, I thought to myself, like, I know that these people aren't doing this to me because I had a relationship with them. And so it was, even though I seen red flags, I'm like, no, they wouldn't do that. No, it was those kind of things. And instead of me, when God's nudging me, like, hey, this isn't right. Hey, look at this. I'm like, no, I kind of pushed it to the side, like, no, they wouldn't do that. No, they wouldn't treat me this way. And so once everything happened and kind of the whole relationship was just cut off, so you mourn things, right?
Yeah.
So we mourn the fact that a relationship who I thought was somebody that was really, a good friend, that was severed. Never heard from the person again since then. The person that actually set everything up and kind of made the introduction to the company that was supposed to build our app. That person, that relationship completely severed. And then there was the battle between, do I expose these people on social media because, you know, they're in different uh, organizations and have like social media outlets and different things that they're involved with that I could expose. So I'm like, do I expose them and tell like what they did to me because this isn't right? You know, I was angry, I was upset, and then it was kind of sad because it's like, well, why would they take from a small business owner? They know they know me, so they know my situation. They know I don't have this money to just go by the wayside, right? And so it was a lot of confusion and frustration and sadness, and I had to go through a healing process. And honestly, I had to forgive them. I really had to go through a forgive, like I had to forgive them because the Lord, you know, I couldn't move forward without the forgiveness. So I had to forgive them. So I completely forgive them. I haven't spoken to them, so I haven't told them, hey, I forgive you, but I've forgiven them. And I had to go through a healing process in order to move on. And it was very traumatizing. It impacted, you know, I had a very close friend of mine who invested in the business. So her money was impacted as well, you know. And then I have, you know, my husband is like, hey, you know, what's going on? You know, you brought these people to us. And he, you know, he doesn't blame me. Of course, he's just like, hey, you know, he didn't even really step in until we went to court. And he was like, all right, we gotta go to court. We gotta try to get our money back. And so it was a lot of teeter-tottering and yo-yoing. And one minute they were like, hey, we'll set up a payment arrangement to pay your money back. The next minute they were saying, hey, we don't owe you a refund. Like it was just a lot that was going on. And it was traumatizing to say the least. So I did have to go through a healing process. And that didn't start until I began to lean on the Lord and I went through the forgiving process. So I had to forgive them. And then in order to move forward, in order to kind of let it go and move forward. Now, I'm definitely going to still collect my money when the time comes. And when it's forgiving them doesn't mean that you wipe it clean and they're free and clear. No, I'll take my lawyer, my attorney is going through whatever they need to go through the collection process. But I had to forgive them in order to move on and in order to heal from the trauma that I went through. So there was different layers to it. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Wow. So crazy. Like I can't wish that on anybody. Like that's just
Right.
gotta be, yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So do you believe many entrepreneurs are chasing success with are chasing, how do I want to word this? Do you believe many entrepreneurs are chasing success while sacrificing peace, purpose, and obedience?
Yes. Yes. That's one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs chase. Right. So they have small business owners, and even some like I have people that I've worked with in the corporate world, and they were owned the businesses that I worked for, and they were chasing the success. They're chasing just, you know, trying to be that perfect business or trying to, you know, get all of their products and everything out. And even statistics say that about 87% of entrepreneurs experience anxiety, depression, burnout while they're trying to build their business, right?
Yep.
And so, yes, it's something that they chase. And the common denominator is that they don't have the alignment with our creator, right? So that 87% are not just Christian based or faith based businesses, that's entrepreneurs all over. And if you don't have the alignment, then you're doing everything on your own, right? You're doing everything on your own. And when you're doing everything on your own, it causes the burnout. It makes you tired and it stops people from completing the end goal. I know for me, with a few of my business, especially after having that traumatizing experience, it stopped me. It kind of stopped me in my tracks. Like I was completely burnt out. I was tired and I was frustrated. And, you know, you're trying to build something that's purposeful and you get burnt out because you're trying to do it on your own, You're trying to do it all on your own. You're not asking for help. Pride gets in the way. Emotions get in the way, and you're trying to reach this end goal, but you don't have a strategy to get there, unless like you have your own strategy, but it may not be working because you're acting alone and you're not reaching out for the help. You're not getting wise counsel. You're not using discernment. You're not aligning with the purpose that God has this business for. And then you end up burnt out, depressed, with anxiety. The business fails because now you're not even putting 100% in like you normally would, if you would be aligned the way that you're supposed to be aligned.
Mm, mm. I love that. Now, was there a moment like, when did you actually realize you could no longer do business the old way? When was that just like the aha moment that you had?
The aha moment was when my attorney contacted me and told me that the the company that we were suing had no assets. They pretty much dissolved their business, like as if they never existed. And the personal people that we sued, they hid their assets. And when I heard that, that was kind of like my, hey, you're probably not going to get your money back. What are you going to do to get to make sure that this never happens again?
Right. Exactly.
That's where it was like, no, I have to do something different because I can't suffer another loss like this. I just can't, and so I have to do something different. And so once I got that call, like, hey, look, we're doing everything that we can, but this is the state, and everything is hidden. And if you look at it, they have nothing. But I know they have something because I know who they are, but they have nothing on paper that the courts could go and get. And I'm like, I'm probably not ever going to get my money back.
Wow.
And so I have to operate differently. What can I do to make sure I'm not in this position ever again? And that was the turning point for me.
Wow. Wow. Now I've got another question that I want to ask you kind of moving forward. But before I dive into that, your bio says you are an author as well. So talk a little bit about your book that you've got.
Yes, I actually have written 2 books. And one of the main book is called Broken Cycle, and it's salvation plus deliverance equals freedom. And it's really it's a book. It's like a small biography, and it tells my life. When I first gave my life to Christ, I still had things I need to be delivered from. And because I didn't know a lot about deliverance, I wasn't taught that in the church that I was going to. There were backslidden situations. I kept falling into sin with different things. And when I came into the knowledge of deliverance, I'm like, oh, that's why I keep doing this. I have some things I need to really be delivered from. And so I went through deliverance. I went through self-deliverance. I ordered books. I took time, and I just really just battled and how the Lord just take me through deliverance. And at the end of that, I came out. This book was developed, and really it's for believers or even new believers that have given their life to Christ, but they're still suffering or still going through different things, and they don't understand, why do I keep doing this? I don't want to sin. I don't want to smoke. I don't want to drink. I don't want to do these things. Why do I keep doing this? And there's some things, strongholds that are on them that need to be released. So Broken Cycle, salvation plus deliverance equals freedom, deals with that. It deals with, and it tells my story from when I was a child all the way up until probably last year, that, different things that caused me to get out of alignment with God, caused me to go into backslidden condition, and then how I just overcame that and how the Lord continued to bring me back to him and walking through deliverance. So even the book has deliverance prayers. So you can walk through deliverance and be delivered from the strongholds that are holding you back, and teach you how to battle not only for yourself, but for your children, for your generations to come, and your for your descendants. And so that book is what walks you through. It walks you through that, through the pain points and how to get set free, be completely free.
That is amazing. So I know that there's a lot of people out there, perhaps some people listening to this interview right now that are like, I want that book. I need that book because I got X,
Right.
Y, and Z in my life that I
Right.
can't get rid of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and if we're honest, there's a lot of us. I mean, sin is sin, but we often look at sin as, some are little small sins and others are big
Right.
sins. But honestly, sin is sin.
Sin is sin. That's
Yeah,
right.
the person that goes and murders another person is just, let me rephrase that. The person that simply takes a paperclip off of somebody's desk without asking is
Mm-hmm.
just as guilty as the person that just went and murdered somebody.
Yeah.
And kind of realizing that it puts a whole different perspective on
Mm-hmm.
life. So whether in your eyes you've got
Right.
a small sin that you're dealing with or big sin, it's all the same. You're going to
Right.
need Sparklyn's book. So
Right.
you guys, um, the link to her book and all that is going to be in the description below this video, just letting you guys know that. But
Mhm.
continuing on here. So as an entrepreneur, life gets really busy. Things get really busy. The hustle culture and all that other stuff really just, it messes with your head as an entrepreneur. So how has that hustle culture, that busyness of life distorted the way people approach their business and success?
You know, people feel like they always have to be moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like you always have to be hustling, you have to be going, you have to be going, you have to keep going, and you can't rest. But God calls us to rest, right? And so the hustle culture, which I used to be all about, because I'm like, I gotta go, I gotta go. I'm trying to make money, I'm trying to do
Right.
this, I'm trying to do that, right? And so one of the things that I learned being partnered with God is that God wants us to have Godspeed and ease, right? The
Amen.
Bible says, I think I have I actually have the scripture on my whiteboard. It says, it's Proverbs 23:4. It says, do not overwork to be rich because of your own understanding. Cease, right? And so a lot of times we got this hustle culture. We're moving, we're shaking and moving, but we're not even really getting a lot done. There's been times where I've stayed up all night developing and planning and doing all these different things, but it only stayed in my computer. It didn't
Right.
move. It didn't go anywhere else. It didn't push forward. It didn't do any of that. So we have to be careful with the whole hustle culture. I know that faith without works is dead, right? So we definitely need to work. But when we're aligned with God, He lines everything up for us. We don't have to hustle so hard, right? He wants to take care of us holistically. So because He wants to take care of us holistically, we go out, we do what He tells us to do, we do the work, we put the feet on the ground, right? And then when it's time to sit back and allow the Lord to do the rest, we have to know that He said, let Him do the rest. And so I think what happens is a lot of times we're even trying to do the things that God said He's going to do for us. We're even trying to, and not only that, we don't take on the people that God sends to help us. We don't utilize them. So we're so busy trying to do it all our own, right? And we're so
Yeah.
busy trying to, get everything else done, do it all of ourselves, that we're not utilizing the help that God sends us. And so we're always in hustle mode, and we're not in just let me stewardship mode, I would say, where you're just stewarding what God said do. You're using the helpers that He's bringing you, and then you end up with success.
I think there's so much to be said in that too,
Mhm.
because, I think within that whole, atmosphere, one of the reasons why we so easily fall into this hustle and the busyness of all the
Mhm.
things, one of the reasons why we so easily fall into that is because one, we're not trusting God. Two, we often have anxious thoughts. Three,
Yep.
fear comes in, and all that other stuff. But
Mhm.
it's like I've got these little flashcards, and there's different sayings on some of them, but there's this one, and it's Deuteronomy 8, verse 18.
Mhm.
God gives me the power to get wealth.
Mhm.
God literally gives me the power to get
Get
wealth.
well.
Now,
Yeah.
if I'm trusting in that and I am relying on God for that, then that means I am not fearing
That's
my
right.
my financial situation. That
Mhm.
means I am not having anxious thoughts and everything. Now, by me mentioning this, I'm not saying this is easy. This is not
Right.
easy. This is a
Right.
struggle, and the enemy knows how to get to you as well. But here's
Yep.
the other thing, and this was kind of like an aha moment that I've recently had. When God calls you to something like your business,
Yeah.
he is going to provide everything you need, including finances.
Yes.
And I'm attacking finances because that's a big one.
Yes.
That's on
Yep.
everybody's mind. It's on
Yep.
mine,
Mhm.
right? But if God has called you to
Mhm.
your business and to the calling that he's got into your life, then
Yes.
he is going to equip you, not just up here. He is
Right.
going to equip you with everything you need to complete the calling that he has. And that
Exactly.
means what you need financially. That was
Yeah.
kind of an aha moment that I recently had because I'd never quite made that particular connection. I mean, I know
Mhm.
that God's going to equip me up here. He's
Right.
going to give me all the resources. He's going to lead me. He's going to guide me,
Mhm.
even when things look crazy and I can't see the
Right.
road ahead. I got to trust and know. But that also means, and this was my aha moment, it also means he is going to equip me with what I need financially to
Yeah.
complete that calling for his business. I
Yes.
I just I'm throwing that out there because I want that to land with some of the listeners. I
Yeah.
really want that to sink in and land
Absolutely.
because I don't think we often make that connection. We
Connection.
think when
Right.
God says he's going to equip us, we think that oh well, he's going to bring me this person, he's going to do this, he's going to give me the knowledge that I need, he's going to
Right.
lead me, he's going to guide me,
Mhm.
and the financial part often gets set aside, and then what do? We worry about it. So,
Right.
anyhow, what
That's
are your
right.
thoughts on that?
No, I agree with that 100%. 100%. I think what we have to understand is that when God says that he's going to take care of us holistically, that includes everything.
Hmm.
Finances, um the connections, the businesses, like anything that you every resource that you need to complete what he told you to complete, you're going to have. You just have to, people have to be aligned and set themselves up so that they can receive the capacity, they can receive the territory that the Lord is going to give them. Because
Hmm.
the holdup is that we're not aligned with God. We're not good stewards, so he's not going to give us all this money and we are not able to steward it, right? So
Yep.
we have to be good stewards, we have to be aligned with him. He has to know that through us, that his perfect will is going to be done through us, that what he called us to do with the businesses and what he called us to do with whatever the books, whatever he called us to do, he has to know that his will is going to be done. And that's when it starts to open up for all the resources to be there. He has to know that at the end, he's going to get the glory because that's what the purpose is. And so God will supply every resource that we need, everything from finances to just the regular help, to the office space, to teaching you how to, giving you knowledge on how to use certain systems and things in order to increase the business. We just have to be set up to receive that. And that's where God as CEO is, because once we make him in charge,
Hmm.
That's where this comes in. Because when we make him in charge of everything, then that opens up the doors for him to be able to provide what it is that we need. It opens up the door for him to trust us, right? So he has to trust us, knowing that he's CEO, he's the boss. We're gonna be obedient and do what he says do. So now I can give you that resource. I can give you that financial blessing. I can give you open up that door for that financial resource. I can open up the door for those clients that come in, because I know that because I'm the head, when they come, you're going to take care of them. And
100%.
ultimately, right, they're going to be led back to him. That's the goal,
Yeah.
right?
No, 100%. That is
Mhm.
so good. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the warning signs that somebody is building their business from strife instead of alignment, instead of letting God be the CEO? What are some of those warning signs that start showing up that point the finger? It's like something's going on here. You're getting in God's way. What are those warning
Yes.
signs?
Oh, that's such a good question. I'm so glad you asked that. So some of the warning signs are when we talking about like emotions, like if you're consistently irritable, you're always anxious, you're exhausted. Like it's not just, hey,
Mm,
I'm tired, I need to go take a nap. You are exhausted. If we think about the like for business wise, the warning signs, if there's chaos with your money, right? You just there's no clarity. The money's coming in, you don't know where it's going out, and it's just not right. God isn't in that. He's not in confusion. So if you're confused, if you're making decisions like they're reactive, so that means something's already happened. You're in a desperate situation, so you have to make this big decision. God is not in that. You need to, God doesn't he doesn't want us in desperation, right? If we lean on him and we trust him, then we don't have to be desperate about anything,
hmm.
right? And then if there's inconsistencies, so if there's inconsistent, it's there's no structure, there's no focus, is everything, you're all over the place, everything is all over everywhere. There's been times where I'm like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and then I have to stop and say, okay, stop, just stop. Lord, what should I be doing right now? Because I'm all over the place. And clearly, if I'm all over the place, I'm not giving 100% to one thing. So what should I be doing? And so that's really important. Some of the spiritual signs is when you have no peace. There's no peace. Like it's that you when you have repetitive thoughts, that's torment, right? And that's a tormenting spirit that's causing you to have these repetitive thoughts over and over and over about a situation when you really need to give it to the Lord, right? And
Mm.
then when you're not praying, that's a sign. Like if you're not talking to God, he's not in it. You're not even talking to him. You're not bringing it to him. You're not communing with him. He wants us to commune with him regularly, every day, all day long. And so when you're not speaking to him and there's no prayer life, then what? How's he going to even really get involved? Because remember, the Lord likes to be invited in. Now, if you invite him in, he'll come in and show out. But if you don't invite him in, he's like, okay, do you? And I think people have to understand that. Another warning that is, I don't think that people really consider or think about is when you're consistently striving, like you're constantly, I just got to get there. I just got to get there. I just got to get there.
Mm.
And it causes for you to be anxious. It causes for you to be in a state of survival, right? And you're just like, you're constantly striving. God doesn't want us to be in survival mode like that. And so if that's something that you're experiencing or that you're um and that's going on, then that's not God. That's not what that's not how he operates, right? He wants us to be at peace. Now, that's not to say there won't be some type of stressful moments and things like that that you may go through. And that doesn't mean that you stop. You continue to move forward, but you have to understand, is it something, if it's making you, if it's putting you in a state of anxiety, the Bible says be anxious. God says be anxious for nothing, but take everything to him, right? I'm just paraphrasing. They got to go
Yeah.
read the word in order to get it. But that's what the Bible says, be anxious for nothing, right? So if you're
Yep.
anxious, that's not God. God said be anxious for nothing, take everything to him. And so those are some of the warning signs that people need to understand when they're not in alignment, when their business is not being directed and guided by the Lord, they're going to feel these other warning signs. They're going to feel these things.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's interesting. So in the midst of God is, and making God the CEO of your life and business.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a little story around that.
Okay.
Now, it's not, it's not anything like crazy or traumatic or anything like that. When I launched my business, I launched it summer of 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a whole story around that and what happened around that. But when I first launched my business, I didn't think about things like that. I just launched my business. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I was, I'm a weight loss coach. Mastery Weight Loss is my brand. And I was tired of seeing like all these quick things out there. It's like I started with affiliate marketing, actually, interesting enough. Before
Mm-hmm.
2020, I was kind of like going back and forth with some affiliate marketing and different things like that. And in somewhere, partly into 2020, I was still playing with that, but I got very disappointed very quick because a lot of those solutions were quick. They weren't real solutions. They were little
Right.
gimmicky quick fixes and stuff like that. And I got really frustrated because I'm like, how this isn't even fixing a problem. And
Right.
and so I just got tired of all that, from like a red tea cleanse and like there was like a whole bunch of them out there on ClickBank. And I was just like, no, I don't want to play with these anymore. These are just
Right.
like little stupid things. And so that's one of the reasons why I decided to launch my own branded company, because I'm like, I want to give real solutions. I want to give something to people that's a real solution, not a quick fix.
Right.
But here's the thing, in the very beginning, I didn't start with God being the CEO. I just
Mm-hmm.
kind of opened my business. I just kind of did it. Now, was I Christian?
Right.
Yes. But
Yeah.
the thought just didn't cross my mind. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until literally about 2.5, 3 years ago, probably around 2023-ish into 2024, that I
Mm-hmm.
really just as I began developing my business and diving deep more and more, I just started, I don't know what switch flipped in my head, but I was just like, all right, Lord, how do I take you and weave your message into now what I'm doing in my business? And
Mm-hmm.
so that's when I started inviting him into my business, inviting him in. It was about 3 years ago. Why I didn't do that in the beginning, I don't know. But this is something that now I teach every one of my clients that work with me, like
Mm-hmm.
invite God into your health and
Right.
weight journey, because he has called us to steward our bodies. He has called us
Yeah.
to steward this temple, right?
That's that's right.
And so that also brings up a whole nother thing. It's like I often wonder why, when finances and different things like get tight for people, why is health the first thing to go out the window? Why is food, good God-given food, the first
Right.
thing to go out the window? Why is that? But anyhow, that's a whole nother ball
Right.
game. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when I started asking God to be a part of my brand and company, when I started inviting him in, is when I
Mm-hmm.
began watching everything blossom and explode. He brought me
Yeah.
my current business coach. She's a Christian entrepreneur, works with other Christian entrepreneurs. She's not fluff. She's very down to earth. She's very grounded. She's got a decent income that she makes, but she doesn't brag on it or anything like that. I mean, she's just well
Mm-hmm.
rounded all the way.
Right.
She literally helped me to take my business to the level that it is now and the clients
Mm-hmm.
that I work with now. I mean, before that, I was kind of like one of those entrepreneurs that was literally screaming out there, when am I going to get my first client? When am I going to get my next client? When this and when that?
Mm-hmm.
And interesting enough, all that began to change when I finally leaned in. It's like, okay, Lord, how do I make you a part of my brand and company? How do I weave your message and include you in what I'm doing? And it's just been amazing.
Yeah.
Since then, it's like boom, 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 boom. I now have a global client base, because of that. I
Right.
also just recently renewed with my coach,
Mm-hmm.
$3,000.
Yeah.
She helped me. God helped me through her earn
Right.
that money through my business. That money didn't come out of my own personal pocket.
Right.
My
Mm-hmm.
business paid for that. That is
Yeah.
also because I invited him in as
Invite
CEO.
the
And that
Lord.
kind of also goes back to what I was talking about earlier as well. And that is, when he gives you a call, he's going to provide for that call financially. and he provided for me to be able to renew with my coach, which was an absolute pleasure. And
Right.
you know, yeah, and I got the grandfathered price, by the way. So my coach is
Right.
normally about 6,000, but um
Right.
so that's kind of like shh, hush hush. But
Right.
anyhow,
Right.
it was still a pleasure, you know, and
Yeah.
I gave that money to her with so much joy because I'm like, God, you helped me earn this.
Right.
You
That's
know,
right.
oh my gosh, there's just so much that comes out of that. So the reason why I'm
Hmm.
sharing that story is, you know, for the listener here, don't wait like I did.
Right.
I don't know why I waited,
Right.
but don't wait like I did. Invite God
Hmm.
in from the start because you are going to be so surprised on what begins to happen as you open that door. Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. No, I agree 100% because I did the same thing, which is why I ended up in the same in the situation I was in. I just started the business, right? And so God had given me the business in the middle of the night, and I wrote down all this stuff, and then I was like, okay, and I just took off, but I didn't tell God, let's go together. I just took off. And so I agree with you 100% that once you add God, like you can't go wrong. Once you add, you invite God in to be the lead, then He will give you everything it is that you need, and you experience that on your own just by asking yourself one day, like, "Hey, let me invite God in here and see what do I do." It's like it's kind of like when the fishermen were fishing and Jesus told them, "Well, put it on the other side of the boat," and they're like, "What? What do you mean? Why?" And then when they do it, they get all this fish, right? And so it's like, had they continued doing their own way all night, they would have ended up with nothing. But they were obedient and they put their net on the other side of the boat, and they end up getting surplus more than they could even ask
100%.
or imagine, right? And so that's just an example of what God does for us when we're obedient and we include Him in our business decisions.
Now, here's
Mm-hmm.
the other question.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited to ask this because I've had this question many,
Okay.
many, many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
And there's times where I still wrestle with this as well. So here's the question. How actually do you discern between your own ambition, your own voice, and God's direction, God's voice? How do you discern that? And like I said, I'm being transparent here. I haven't mastered this. I don't know. You know, a lot of times I'm going, Lord, is that my head speaking, or is that you?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your spirit
Right.
guiding me, or is that me and my intuition? What is this? So, how do you discern between your own ambition and God's direction?
That's such a great question. And number one, I do the same thing that you do. I'm like, Lord, is this me or you? Because I need to make sure this is right. But I always take it back to the word of God. So we know that sometimes there are things that happen that may seem good. It may seem like the right thing to do, but once we go down that path, it's not. It didn't work out the way that we thought that it should work out. And we would think, and there's been times where I'm like, I know that this is God, I'm gonna do it, and then it don't. I'm like, Lord, this was not you, this was me trying to do something. And so what I've done since then, one of the things that I do is I always refer it back to the Lord. I always give it time. So I don't, because if I'm unsure, like if it's something that I'm really sure about, I'm like, okay, Lord, I know this is you telling me this. If it's not, if I'm unsure, like, Lord, this is something I really, really want, but I don't know if this is you telling me that I want this or not, then I wait and I pray about it and I give God time to really give me a solid answer. The solid answer may be someone calling me and opening up the door for whatever it is that I'm asking for, and they are a reputable person and I can trust them or the situation. The answer can be me finding that same scenario in the word of God when I'm reading and I'm like, okay, Lord, this is what you were talking about. Okay, this does align with your word. This isn't just me. There's been times where I've gotten it wrong, like I mentioned, where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then it is just not right. one of the things that I for sure know is that if it's me and not God, there's a lot of times where he will not let it happen. A lot of times he will not let it happen. So I'll give you an example. I have been thinking about, I've been out of the corporate world since 2023. And I was deciding to go back to work. I'm like, okay, I told my husband, you know what, I'm gonna go back to work. I'm gonna find a job. And I ended up getting, some calls for some interviews. And there was this job I really, really wanted. I wanted. And it paid really well. It was exactly, in my field. And I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm ready to go back to work. I know this job is mine. And I, in my mind, thought the Lord said, yep, this is your job. And so I go on the interview, everything goes well, and then I don't get the job. And I'm like, well, Lord, I thought you said that I'm supposed to be working this job. And God said, I never told you that. You said that. And what I need for you to be doing is focusing on what I told you to do, because you have businesses. I write plays and movies. You have businesses, you have movies, you have plays, you have all these other things that I told you to do. Why would I put you in a position to work a job that's going to take you away from what I told you to do? And that helped me realize that anything that's going to take me away, this is how I determine thank you, Holy Spirit. Anything that I think I should do that's going to take me away from what God told me to do, then it's not him. No matter how good it is, no matter how much I want it, no matter how bad I want it, if it's going to take me away and interfere with what he told me to do, then it's not God. That's what I've learned in that. It would have stopped me from being able to prepare. Like right now I would be at work. I wouldn't be able to do the interview, right? There was a conference that I went to. I wouldn't have been able to go to the conference. That was that I needed to go to because it opened up doors for me spiritually. And I wouldn't have been able to do those things if I had gotten that job. So anything if it's going to take you away from God, if anything that he told you to do, then it's not him telling you. And that's the simple thing right there. And so, but you have to evaluate that. Like, okay, but if this don't take me from anything God called me to do, because if it's going to take away from time for me to do that, then okay, this ain't God. This is me. That's how you know.
Right. Picture this being a microphone.
Right.
There we go. Yeah, there we go. That was the mic drop moment right there. That such a great answer. Such a powerful, great answer. I mean, and that's why that's the mic drop moment, because I'm just like, oh, there we go, right there. That is a clear message right there. If it takes me away from God's call, it's not.
It's not him. Right.
Oh my gosh.
No matter how good it sounds, if it takes me away from what he told me to do, it's not him.
Wow. And that's powerful for me. Like I'm looking at that going, oh wow, okay. Because there's times where I've been in those seasons of doubt, like, Lord, am I really in the right direction? Should I go and get a job instead of doing this? And right. Then it's just like, no. So a couple more questions, and I do want to start wrapping up because we're like hitting the 47 mark, and can you believe it? Like time's gone by like that.
Right, it has.
Such a good conversation, though. So, what is the cost of building something successfully, but without God at the center?
For me, $60,000, but overall, it's time. You waste a lot of time. That is the biggest cost. You will waste so much time of building something and not having God in the center. You will waste connections. You waste preparation, and the biggest thing is going to be the time, because it's going to be time consuming for you to do all these things. And God has such a quicker and a better way for us to do things, such an easier way for us to do things. And so time is the one thing you can't get back. And and it costs so much time. Right. And then not only that, you go through so much trauma and so many traumatic things. It's going to cost you spiritually, because now you have, like I said, I had to forgive those people, and I had to really come get through that trauma and really go through a healing process. So I wouldn't have the mindset of, I can't deal with these type of people, or I don't want to do business with this type of situation, because that blocks blessings. It blocks resources, right? Because I didn't want to carry that. And so that's the cost. It's carrying things that you don't need to carry. And then your time. That's the biggest cost.
Wow. Wow. I'm going to give a slightly different angle on time. So
Okay.
it does cost you time when you're doing it without God. So in this
Yes.
aspect, time is not a very friendly thing in that kind of
Right.
situation, right?
Right.
But I'm going to flip this a little bit here.
Okay.
Because time is often something that is kind of looked at in some aspects as an enemy overall. Especially when it comes to like your weight and health journey and different things like that, we often think time is the energy. I just want to lose this as quickly as possible. I want to fit into that dress. I want to look good for the summer, all this other stuff. And time's the enemy. I just want this quick. I want this quick and done. And it's kind of like, how's that served us? Moving, it hasn't, because what you end up doing is embracing a pattern that is like insanity. If you're going to do all that work to lose that weight and get healthy and do all the things, why not do it in a way to where it makes lasting changes? So it's the last time you have to do it ever again. So one of the things that I teach in my program is time is your friend. Time is what is going to allow the changes and habits to sink in and become part of who you are in automatic, so that when you reach that goal that you are after, you are able to stay there sustainably because you have changed in here.
Right.
Same goes for your business. Some things in your business are going to take time, but in that aspect, when God's included and when He is sitting on the CEO chair of your business, time in that aspect is going to be your friend, because during that time period, that season where maybe things aren't happening fast enough for you, maybe things, just aren't rolling in. Well, you get to learn, you get to grow, you get to use those moments as ways to learn and grow. And so this is how time does become your friend, because it's not always going to be happy, fruitful, and wonderful seasons. You're going to go through seasons of growth. You're going to go through seasons where the clients may not be rolling in so fast. And you've got to trust God that He has your algorithm. And the reason why I mentioned that is because for the longest time, I complained about Facebook algorithm. I complained about Instagram algorithm. I complained about YouTube algorithm. I am not being seen. That was the thing that I put out there all the time out there, to God, like, why, it's like, why does this post get all the attention and it has nothing to do with my business? And then when I talk about something, not even in a pitch post, I get crickets. Why? Right?
Yep.
Through my coach, she taught me, she's like, look, social media does not control your algorithm. God does. And you need to trust in God that He has your back and algorithm. And I'm telling you, as soon as I did, as soon as I trusted God and I just rode the path that He had for me, all of a sudden, guess what started coming my way? Clients. And a lot, there's clients that came my way through sources that I had no clue. And I was just like, wow, yeah. So time can be your enemy, but time can also be your friend. I think that's kind of what I'm, breaking it down as. You don't want time as your enemy. And that's why you need to trust God as your CEO. Anything else you want to add to that?
Right. No, I agree with you 100%. And when I say time, I mean wasted time, meaning that when you are in those quiet seasons, instead of focusing on growth, being aligned with God, connecting with God, you're busy doing other things, trying to make it come faster and faster and faster. And when you really, if you're aligned with God, He's going to tell you when to slow down, when to pause, when to keep going, how to move, what to do in your slow season, what to do when things get busy. And He prepares you so that when it is time to go and it is fast, you're already prepared. You don't have to stop and create something. You don't have to stop and move something. So yes, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
Time is your friend. You don't get it back. So that's why it's so important that you have to use it wisely. You have to use it wisely. And when you're not aligned with God, most of the time we're not using our time wisely. We're just doing whatever we feel like we should be doing instead of what we actually should be doing.
And you know what? The sad part of it is there's a lot of people out there that, end up, they're at the end of their life. God is calling them home and they're looking back on their life. And oftentimes the sad thing is they're like, I wasted so much.
Right.
And I just pray to God
Yeah.
that when that day comes to me, I am not looking back going, oh,
Right.
I want to look back and see all the people that I've impacted. That
Absolutely.
is going to mean, that's going to mean the world to me. So
That's right.
anyhow, as we begin wrapping up here, such good stuff, and there's a lot of gold that happened on this episode for sure. So what are 3 to 5 powerful things that you'd like to leave the listener with today?
Oh, let's see. 3 to 5 powerful things. I would say that making God your CEO is not just creating a plan, it's a partnership. Like you really are partnering with God. That's one of the main things. You really are creating a partnership with God, and you really are um, inviting Him in and allowing Him to help you grow, and not just business wise, but even personally. That's one of the things. The other thing is to it's so important for us to incorporate the principles in the Bible. The precepts that God gives us in the Bible teaches us how to live our life and how to run our businesses, how to raise our kids, whatever it is that we're doing. And it's so important that we really truly just really understand what it is that God is having us to do, right? And the precepts that He calls us to do, and what it is that He wants to show us. And let's see, what's something else that I glean? The other thing that I would say is that it is important that you keep good people around you, and that when you connect to people, that they are people. If you're saved, if you're a Christian, it is very important for you to partner with people that are Christian as well. I really believe that you have to be like-minded. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't have people who are not Christian, a part of our business and things of that sort. We need to convert them. But what I'm saying is, if you're going to partner with someone, they need to be like-minded. And that helps keep the focus on what your purpose is through God. That helps keep that plan in place. Because if you get someone who doesn't have the same belief system as you, then that's where there comes confusion. That's where people are trying to deviate or make compromises. And you should not compromise on the purpose and the plan that God has for you. No compromises. Those are the 3 things.
Wow. So powerful, my friend. Now, how can people get in contact with you and connect with you, work with you, get your book, all the things? So share like all the things there.
Right. So I do have a website. It's www.brokencycleministries.com. That is where that you can book me for speaking. You can connect with me. You can send me messages through that website. You can order God as CEO, and it's brokencycleministries.com/God as CEO. You can order that there, and you can sign up for our coaching program there. I'm also available on all social media sites at under Sparklyn T Rushing. So Sparklyn T Rushing is how you can connect with me. I do read my DMs. I respond to the DMs. I reply to the DMs. So that's how you can connect with me on all of the social media sites. You can get my book on Amazon. If you
Yeah.
search Sparklyn T Rushing on Amazon, all of my books will come up and you can order my book on Amazon.
That is amazing. You guys, her links will be below in the description. So you'll see her bio and then you'll see her links right below her bio. So all of this will be in the description below. And I do recommend go check her out. Go get her book. Go, read because there are so many powerful things that she has shared today on today's episode. So much gems and gold has been dropped today. And so go connect with her, get into her world is what I encourage you to do. So lastly, you guys, and I am definitely speaking to the listeners here. So you've heard me kind of dance around what it is I do and how I serve people. Okay, so I'm a weight loss coach. My brand is Mastery Weight Loss, and it's Mastery Weight Loss because it can't be about just weight loss anymore. No, that system is broken. It's built on failure. It's now got to be about mastery, owning that journey, embracing that journey, right? Right now, I'm giving away my 3 secrets to not only help you lose that weight, but get healthy and feel energized without starving or dieting. In just 3 one-on-one sessions with me, I expose the 3 biggest lies that are keeping people sick, stuck, and overweight because that's how that industry makes money. And I show them how they can feel their body God's way and finally break free and keep the weight off sustainably for life. So my links is also going to be below in the description. It's going to be below all Sparklyn stuff. So I'll be down at the bottom. And you can get into my world that way, get into my boot camp. It's very reasonably priced. And even if you're already on a health journey, this boot camp, this 3 one-on-one sessions is a great add-on to what you're already doing. It will only empower and supercharge what you are already doing. And I can guarantee you this one thing. You will walk out on the other end standing on a foundation that you will never, ever, ever be moved from again. Doesn't matter what the industry throws at you. Doesn't matter what fad comes. It doesn't matter what messages are out there. You will have eyes to see finally through it all. And so that is my encouragement to you guys. Connect with me, get aboard my boot camp, and let's go. Other than that, Brooke, Sparklyn, do you have any other, things you'd like to share before we end our episode today?
No, thank you so much for the opportunity. And this has been a pleasure. Thank you.
You are very welcome. All right. That is a wrap, guys. Have a great rest of your day or evening, depending on where you are in the world and what time of day you are listening. I will catch you on the next episode. Talk to you guys later.